Hey guys, Magic Man here, and today I'm bringing you a battle of one of the new Tier 5 premiums that I just picked up. I'm not a huge fan of battleships myself, but I do like the way that the Italian battleships look, and I like the way that this one maneuvers or handles, and I like its gun performance. My biggest knack on battleships is how inaccurate their guns are. And it's really frustrating to me playing one when I take a shot at something and I'm pretty much all the shells go left, right, up, down. They're basically everywhere but where I aim them. And that's more true to life than what most of the battleship gun characteristics in this game are. Because I think their real life hit ratio for battleships during this time period was something like 2 to 5%, whereas in this game you usually hit about 30 to 40% of your shots with these guns. So, you know, there's that. So I shouldn't really complain. But the Roma, I feel like, has really good gun dispersion in really the way that matters most. And that is one of the special things about this ship, other than it having... I like its armor layout, although because of its armor, it will eat a lot of damage if you're not angled correctly. But as you can see from that shot, that was just a poorly aimed shot. But the shells tend to form a elongated circle. They'll go left and right, but they won't really go over or under a target very much, which is, in my opinion, it's a good thing for a battleship, because even if you don't lead enough or you give too much lead, you'll usually have some shells that still hit. And as you can see, that shot, I think I didn't have my lead exactly right, otherwise I would have landed more shells than that. And you'll see when I pull in closer to these destroyers, I can land a lot of shells. And the Caesar is a very maneuverable battleship, in my opinion. It handles really well, and it's also a very small battleship. This is kind of like I would almost say a heavy cruiser, a large cruiser, and how small it is. Now the armor layout, I thought about showing it in this video, but then I was just like, maybe not. But it's got 70 millimeters of upper hull armor, and then it goes to about 200, and then about 300 on the lower belt. So if you've got this ship angled correctly, you're going to bounce quite a few shots. But if you don't, what's going to happen is, because of the increased armor on the upper part of the sides, bam, and I just did a ton of damage to that destroyer. The guns on this ship are great. The HE I would say is pretty average for high explosive. You got like a 35% fire chance. It does something in the neighborhood of I think it's 4,500 damage. Maybe it's only 4,000. I may be wrong on those numbers, but that sounds about right. I only looked at the gun damage characteristics, I think, once or twice. And that was just sort of a test shot. I want to make sure I killed this guy. And he's done for. And I sped up right there, and I slowed down because I knew there were a lot of destroyers in that smoke who could see me. So I didn't want to give him an easy target. And he did actually fire his single launcher at me. I'm glad I slowed down, because otherwise I probably would have eaten a torpedo. It's really dangerous to slow down in front of destroyers, just FYI, because if they sense what you're doing and they aim properly, you won't be able to accelerate in time to get out of the way. You'll eat a ton of damage. So it's a dangerous thing to do. I kind of counted on that guy aiming at the torpedo targeting. Oh, and we actually get a citadel on that guy. I don't get too many citadels with these guns because these guns are only 320 millimeters, which at this tier, I want to say most people have, or most of the battleships at tier 5 have at least 350 millimeter guns. Most of them do. You know, they all have about 14-inch guns. I think these are... I'd have to do the calculation, but they're either 12 or 13-inch guns, so they're a little bit undersized. And so you don't have quite as good as penetration characteristics. And I don't know if I took a citadel there or if I just ate a ton of penetration damage. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it was a citadel because one of my guns got knocked out. But I was definitely not angled enough against that shot. I'm probably sitting at about a 30-degree angle to the other Caesar's guns, and he penetrated me pretty hard. I ate, what was it, 12,000 damage. So this ship is, I would say, fairly squishy. Shouldn't say squishy. That's probably not a good description of the armor profile. If you're angled, you're going to bounce a lot of shots. If you're not really, you know, at that 50 or 60 degree mark, which I tend to not be too much in this particular game because I wanted to have all my guns firing. If you're angled enough to bounce battleship shells, you're not going to be able to have use of your back or front guns, whichever way you happen to be angling or sailing. So, I mean, that's unfortunate. I still think that this ship has fairly decent firing angles. You don't have to expose a huge amount of the side of your ship to get all your guns on target. With it being tier 5, though, you know, it does have sort of a, I wouldn't say restricted fire range, because I can fire out to, I think, about 17 kilometers in this ship. But you're going to get up-tiered a lot into tier 7, and at tier 7, most of those battleships, man, they have 20 kilometers worth of range to play with, most of them, 19. So you're going to be outranged. In a long-range gun duel, though, this ship is not going to be doing too bad. It has fairly decent gun characteristics, and I got a penetration on something on that battleship. Either that or that marker came up wrong, but I don't know if it penetrated a module and didn't give me any damage because the module absorbed the damage, or if it bounced and just showed the incorrect ribbon. But man, see, those shells are so tightly packed, and I didn't adjust my aim after seeing where that shot went. I was like, I should aim a little bit lower, but at this range, I know it wasn't probably going to get a citadel, so I was trying to hit just the top of the belt armor there. See if I could get some plunging fire into it and get a lot of penetration damage, but I was aiming too high. And this is another poorly aimed shot. I'm so not used to playing at these lower tiers, and so I know this carrier is really slow, but dear lord, it is just so slow. Slower than my wildest dreams. Like, the Bogue is just an incredibly slow carrier. I think its top speed is like 17 knots. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I stopped firing at the carrier because I'm pretty confident our destroyer is going to get him, and the immediate danger to me, because the carrier is more concerned about the destroyer, are these battleships, because I'm in the very middle of the map. I'm in B point, and the enemy is coming up on the east side of the map. They're heading north. I'm actually turning around here because I don't want to sail further into the enemy. Wow, did a ton of penetration damage there, but I got no citadels, which really sucks. And that just kind of shows you that while the gun caliber is kind of low for this tier, you know, you can be 5-6 kilometers away from somebody, fire a whole salvo into their broadside, and you're going to penetrate them, but there's a chance that you're not going to get any citadels, and that's what you just saw there. I just didn't have enough armor to get all, or enough penetration to get all the way through, and should have aimed a little bit higher, possibly, on that, because a lot of those shells dunked into the water. And this is what I'm saying, when this ship has armor, it does. I like the armor layout on this. You know, it's got the forward plating at the front, another 70mm small chunk like off to the side of the turrets. I like to try and angle in a way so that people will get baited into shooting that like other battleships, but it doesn't really work out all the time. And because of the way that the barbettes are set up in the back of this ship, you know how there's like a two-story sort of setup with these ships. You've got, you know, the lower deck where the gun's at, and then you got the upper deck where the superstructure's at. The way, because that whole back part right there, right in front of the middle back turret, has 70mm, or it might be a little bit more than that. It might be 100mm armor right there. If someone's shooting at the back of this ship and they hit that part, it's usually not going to be angled enough to actually bounce the shells, so they will penetrate the back of this ship. So if you give someone the back of another battleship, a back of the ship, and they hit the middle of the ship or close to it, they're usually going to penetrate and do quite a bit of damage because of that armor layout back there. That's just another, I wouldn't say downside of this ship, because if you get a cruiser shooting at you and they're hitting you with HE, if they hit that particular part of the ship, it's going to do no damage. It's just if battleships are shooting at it, it's going to penetrate and do a lot of damage because of the thickness of the armor. It's not thick enough to stop the shell or bounce it, but it's too thick for it to just pass through harmlessly. So unfortunately, there's that. Now, I have no idea what the concealment on the ship would be like with a concealment expert captain. I imagine it would be pretty good, and you could definitely get yourself into a position to ambush people. But I'm only using I think during this battle my captain had 2 points on him, so I basically had the skill to swap out ammo faster once it's loaded, which I didn't actually use in this battle at all, so I probably should have just gone with priority target, so I know how many people are shooting at me. Since those ships, I turned around earlier to kind of get out of a crossfire that I was sailing into, and now I've turned around again because I realized that those ships were not interested in actually chasing me. They were just wanted to get our carrier, which unfortunately for them put them way out of position. So because 2 of their ships decided to be greedy and chase the carrier, and this really sucked. Right here. Just yeah, that just happened. But at longer ranges, if you're shooting at the nose of a ship, that'll happen sometimes because, like I said, the dispersion and the sigma value on the ship cause it to form a big ellipse, like a big oval, that elongated oval. And if somebody is smart, yeah, they'll do exactly what this guy's doing, and they'll basically give you the thinnest part of their ship, because the way your shells spread out, there's a better chance that they're going to be able to avoid your shells if they turn in or away from you. Whereas if they give you any sort of side, like may not even be enough of the side of their ship to actually penetrate them and do citadel damage, might be enough to land a considerable number of shells on, and really give you issues. Now, I don't think I'm running the modification to reduce fire and flood chance, and I definitely don't have any captain skills to prevent it, and because this is tier 5 battleship, I seem to be getting set on fire like every single time I get hit by an HE shell, which kind of sucks. But I am running enough repair consumables that it wasn't too much of an issue. But if you play this ship well, you will end up going through all of your repair consumables in a game usually, and we get a huge citadel there, huge. Anyhow, sort of to sum this ship up, it's a very small, good-looking, sleek battleship, and even for the 320mm guns, even though they are kind of on the small side, they have pretty good penetration. They have good gun characteristics. The turret traverse is decent. The penetration is alright. And I just took a big butt shot there. Like I said, the back of this ship likes to eat battleship shells and not in the way that you would like. I'd say the shells have a pretty decent velocity for this tier, and they are fairly accurate. So there's that. And then when I actually got an award there, I believe it was high caliber. And we also got Dreadnought during that game. Did 114,000 damage, so it's pretty decent overall. And what else can I say about this ship? Armor profile is good as long as you got the nose angled in. But the AA kind of sucks. That's really the only downside of this ship, but I mean, it is tier 5. If a carrier focuses on you, you're pretty much done for. There's nothing you can do about it. But it also has 27 knot speed, so it's fairly fast and lets you position. Anyways, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.